Hello. My earphones were still playing music. I have been grumpy the past couple days, and so I'm doing the things I know that will make me feel better. One of those is working out to good music, and another one is spending time outside. So I've come outside to cool down, and I thought that I would do just a little tour of my garden. There's not much to see yet, weeds than anything else, but I thought I would show you what I got. So I'm gonna flip this around, and this is the garden beds. Some of these beds were built, like that one, like 10 years ago. Some of them are replaced 2 years ago. There's gravel between, and as you can see, there are weeds between. This bed right here is going to be cutting flowers. So what's in there right now is zinnias and bachelor's buttons and things like that. Last year my son planted a marigold from seed, and it grew huge, and I thought I had saved some seeds from it, but it turns out I didn't. But now that I'm looking at it here in the gravel, I think we've got some volunteers, so I'm gonna have to save those even though they're growing in the gravel. All right, so this is cutting flowers. Moving on, this is going to be cucumbers growing up this trellis, and then I've got eggplant and bell pepper in here. Nothing has sprouted yet because it's been such a late frost that I planted the seeds pretty late. These are potatoes coming up. So these are potato plants, and what happens is that these vines will get long and they'll spread out, and they'll probably overgrow the box. And then when these plants start kind of dying off, that's the time to dig up potatoes. But you don't have to dig them all up at once. You can just leave them in the ground, and so I tend to dig them up as I need them. This bed here has one random potato. This bed was potatoes last year, and apparently I missed digging up one. So this is one potato that I just left. But otherwise, and ignore the weeds, this bed is beans. So these are bush beans along the edge, and then in the middle are sugar snap peas. So these will climb like vines, and I need to run some twine from this all the way up so that they have something to climb. But beans and peas, and one random reseeded by accident potato. This here is a lettuce bed. I just kind of threw seeds in there, and you can see it's growing in clumps, but it's mixed lettuce. I think that might be butter crunch lettuce. There should be some arugula in there, different greens. This is all a weed that appeared this year. I've been pulling it out slowly. I have an app called Picture This that if you take a picture of a plant, it'll identify it for you. It's really cool. It's free. And this is some sort of invasive grass called Japanese something grass. I can't remember. But the other name for it is Mary's grass, which I know my name is Mary, but that doesn't mean I want it in here. My husband suggested spraying weed killer, but I don't really want to do that so close to my lettuce. This is the herb section. So this oregano has been here for 10 years. This is mint. It used to be in this little pot because mint spreads, and I didn't want it to take over, and somehow it jumped the pot a year or two ago. So this is all mint, and then planted in here. It needs a top up of compost, but I haven't been able to go to a garden center, and my compost is not ready. But I've got seed from seed, basil, dill. I feel like there was something else. Anyway, basil and dill at least. This is carrots. We planted them a long time ago, but carrots take forever to sprout. There's 3 rows of carrots in here. In this box, I mixed in a bunch of sand this year. You can kind of see it because my carrots last year were growing really like short and crooked because they didn't have the strength. Get out of that bed, dog. Ugh, dogs. They didn't have the strength to push through the soil and be straight. So if you mix your carrot soil with some sand, it'll help them grow straight and strong. This is weeds, but it's also asparagus. So let's see if I can get to focus on. Anyway, this is the 3rd year. So asparagus, it takes about 3 years to harvest. It's a perennial, so again, ignore the weeds, but I've just been cutting off a little bit at a time, and we've actually been putting it on pizza, which has been nice. This bed, I let some tomatoes just kind of stay on the vines and drop last year, which was on purpose because now I've got all these reseeded tomatoes around the edge. I think there's some beefsteak and some cherry tomatoes in there, but otherwise I've planted some beets from seeds, and those probably need to be thinned. But I've got beets going in there and some tomatoes coming up. This bed among tiny little clover is broccoli. I've never grown broccoli before, but it sprouted from seed. This is a fake snake that my mother gave me to scare away the birds. Apparently you move it every once in a while. My children take great delight in moving the snake. These are weeds. It all needs to be pulled out. This bed has a couple more teeny volunteer tomatoes, but it also has these mounds that are going to be, I can't remember if it's zucchini or squash, but it's one or the other. And this bed is the other one, zucchini or squash, and more tiny volunteer tomatoes. This bed is a mess of raspberries. I don't ever really get that many raspberries because the birds tend to get them. But there's some little buds, and every once in a while the raspberries break loose and start coming up through the gravel, so I need to fix that. And then in other reseeding adventures, I have also reseeded tomatoes right here in the middle of the gravel. So I've left them, and I stuck some old tomato cages around them to remind myself not to actually weed those. And so yeah, that is the garden tour. Not much sprouting yet, except of course the nasty grass weeds that I don't want. But just as a recap, we got potatoes, random potato, peas and beans, cucumber, eggplant, bell pepper, lettuce, asparagus, which is a perennial, cutting flowers like zinnias and bachelor's buttons, herbs, some of which are perennials, carrots, tomatoes and beets, broccoli, tomatoes and zucchini or squash, tomatoes and zucchini or squash, and raspberries. So, last year I said I wasn't going to do much of a garden because I was tired, but then I did. But it was mostly tomatoes. I had a lot of tomatoes and it was great. And this year I've had time to actually plant stuff. It just got in the ground late because of the late frost warnings. The snake, TLC Niche just asked about this fake snake. My mother gave it to me. It's a blow up, just a blow up snake, and supposedly it scares away the birds. And so you move it every once in a while so the birds think that the snake is real. I don't know if it's fooling them, but my children think it's a lot of fun to move the snake every day. Sometimes it gets moved multiple times, and whatever, it's fine with me. So yeah, lots of weeding to do, but as I said at the beginning of this video, I've been grumpy the past couple days, and so I'm trying to do the things that I know make me feel better. One of them is being outside, and weirdly weeding is one of those things. Every time I come out here to take out the trash or let the dog out or something, I'll just, kind of crouch down and pull 20, 50 weeds, and slowly but surely I get some done and clear a patch and work my way around the garden. So thank you. I'm gonna post this over TV now. That changed last week, and I'll do another garden tour. I'll keep doing them once there's visible change, we'll put it that way. So thanks for joining me. Bye bye.